This is the story of Abiza the healer. The story of Abiza the healer is a tale rich in occasions of healing, honesty, betrayal, and redemption. It unfolds in the small village of Uzzah, where healing is not just a skill, but a divine calling passed down through generations. Abiza, a young woman with a serene yet powerful presence, was raised by her grandmother, the village Revered healer. Her grandmother was not only wise in knowledge of herbs, but also believed that healing was a divine gift to be shared freely. As time went on, her grandmother became very old and weak and eventually passed away. Abiza mourned her grandmother for quite some time, and she took on the mantle of healing, continuing her grandmother's legacy of selflessness. After the death of her grandmother, the people continued seeking Abiza for healing. Abiza was a natural healer, possessing an innate connection with nature and the supernatural. She often wandered the forests surrounding Uzzah, gathering herbs, communing with the spirits of her grandmother, and learning to interpret the signs in nature. Her reputation quickly spread beyond Uzzah, drawing people from neighboring villages, seeking cures for ailments that no other healer could address. She cured people who had suffered epileptic attack, spiritual and mental illnesses. She healed people with grace and humility, never accepting payment, though the grateful villagers would leave her with their offerings of fruits, livestock, and other items, which she shared generously with the people. In Abiza's household lived Odori, a maidservant who appeared loyal but was driven by greed. While Abiza gave healing freely, Odori secretly undermined her by demanding payments from the patients at her back and keeping the proceeds for herself. Odori was crafty, always lying and manipulating situations to her advantage. Though Abiza perceived Odori's deceit, she often warned her and told her that she who brought an ant-infested firewood should be ready to entertain the visits of lizards. Odori turned a deaf ear to Abiza's warning. One quiet evening, under the light of the setting sun, Abiza sat Odori down by the hearth in their small humble hut. The air was thick with the scent of freshly crushed herbs, and Abiza's face was calm yet resolute. She looked deeply into Odori's eyes and spoke with a voice firm but gentle. "Odori," she began, "this gift I carry is not mine. It is from God. It is a divine calling, a sacred duty to heal those who suffer in body, mind, and spirit. I have a divine mandate from nature, never to seek riches or rewards for what I do. To take what is not freely given would dishonor the gift and the one who gave it to me. Healing is not a trade. It is a service, a reflection of God's mercy through me." She paused, letting her words sink in. When we heal someone, it is not our work, but God's grace flowing through us. If you continue to take what is not yours, you turn this gift into something selfish and unholy. Be warned, Odori. Greed poisons the soul. If you cannot honor this part, you may find that the very gift meant to bring life and hope will bring sorrow instead. Abiza's voice softened, but her eyes remained intense. The people who come to us are desperate and broken. It is not for us to think of gain, but to pour ourselves out in love for them. If you truly wish to stay by my side, you must abandon this part of dishonesty and selfishness. Choose wisely, Odori. For the consequences of ignoring these truths will be heavy. Odori nodded and murmured agreement, but Abiza could see the flicker of hope in her eyes. Despite her warning, she feared that greed had already planted its roots too deep. Yet, she wished that Odori would find the strength to change before it was too late. However, Odori's greed reached its peak when Abiza healed the king's son of a severe case of leprosy, a feat that no other healer had been able to achieve. The king's family, overwhelmed with gratitude, brought Abiza many gifts. True to her character, Abiza refused all but a small portion and directed the rest to be distributed among the poor and the needy. But the dubious Odori, seizing an opportunity, intercepted the king's servants that brought the gifts and convinced them to give her all the gifts, claiming Abiza had sent her. She hurried to the marketplace to sell those items she collected from the king's servants, but her greed was met with swift and divine retribution. While she was at the market selling those items, the same leprosy that had afflicted the king's son now consumed Odori. Her body was filled with sores. She returned crying for help. Immediately Abiza saw her, she perceived what she had done. Abiza asked her, "Odori, what have you done?" Odori replied, "I went after the king's servants and collected the gifts they brought in appreciation for his healing. I had gone to the market to sell them when I suddenly got this disease. Please forgive me, Abiza. Greed has consumed me. My whole body hurts. Please help me." Abiza felt betrayed and ignored her because she warned her severally. She said to her in anger that it was too late. She would live with the disease for the rest of her life. The news of Odori's leprosy was noised all over the village. She was shunned by the villagers, who isolated and abandoned her because of her disease. She was left to suffer the consequences of her greed and lies. During her affliction with leprosy, Odori endured immense physical pains. Her skin became covered with painful sores and her body weakened, making even simple tasks difficult. Shunned by the villagers, she was forced to live in solitude with no one willing to offer her food, shelter, or comfort. The once vibrant and scheming Odori became a shadow of herself, haunted by guilt and regret as her suffering grew both physically and emotionally. Over time, Odori lived in misery, reflecting on her actions but too ashamed to seek help. However, her condition worsened. As Odori's health condition worsened, the entire village became concerned over her fate. Eventually, the king and the village elders, who had seen the greatness of Abiza's heart, interceded on Odori's behalf. The king summoned Abiza. He said to her, "My daughter, we have seen the condition Odori has been because of her dubious and greedy character, and we thought it would not be nice if we allowed her to perish this way." He reminded Abiza of her grandmother's boundless compassion and implored her to forgive Odori. Moved by their pleas and realizing that Odori had suffered and already have paid the heavy price for her sins, Abiza agreed to heal her. Using her special herbs, Abiza cleansed Odori of the leprosy. The once proud and deceptive maidservant was now humble and deeply repentant. She prostrated herself before Abiza, thanking her profusely and vowing never to steal or deceive again. Abiza's act of mercy restored harmony in the village. The villagers, elders, and even the king praised her not only for her extraordinary healing abilities, but also for her kindness and forgiveness. They viewed her as a divine gift, a healer not only of bodies but of hearts and souls. Her reputation grew even more, reaching far beyond Uzzah, and her legacy became one of wisdom, compassion, and the triumph of good over selfishness. Odori, now healed, became a fervent supporter of Abiza's mission, often helping her distribute food and caring for the sick. She lived the rest of her days in service to others, forever marked by the lessons of her past mistakes. Abiza's life story became a legendary one told to children and travelers alike, reminding them of the power of selflessness, the value of truth, and the importance of mercy.